Bitcoin is crashing, and let me tell you, altcoins are not liking this. When will the dip be over? Hi, my name is Matsir. In today's video, we'll be going over whether or not Bitcoin is done correcting and what this means for the rest of the crypto market. If you enjoy the content, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell so you don't miss any important updates. Let's jump right into it. Bitcoin, sitting right below $92,000. In yesterday's video, I talked about how we could see further downside, and it would not surprise me if we could see Bitcoin below the $90,000 mark. This correction looks like it's only starting, and we could find some more support down into the 80Ks, which I'll talk about later in the video. But we can see here, since failing $100,000, we've struggled to stay above the 95K mark. Now we are currently, at the time of recording, under $92,000 per Bitcoin. So I've been talking about the fact that there was a bunch of sell walls between $95,000 to $100,000 for Bitcoin. And as we can see, we did really struggle around that area. We were tapping into $99,800, but we didn't quite make it across the 100K barrier. Now, one of the most significant reasons as to why Bitcoin is selling off now is because the long-term Bitcoin holders started taking a lot of profit around the $95,000 mark into the $100,000 mark. Now, to counter this, until then, Bitcoin spot ETFs kept on buying up until right below $100,000. It was essentially a battle between the two. Long-term Bitcoin holders selling, Bitcoin spot ETFs buying. And what most people were hoping was that there would be enough buying power to push us past the $100,000 mark. Unfortunately, it hasn't quite happened. If we pull up the Bitcoin spot ETFs, we can see that yesterday there was over $400 million in Bitcoin spot ETF outflows. Again, I have to bring your attention to this, but the IBIT Bitcoin spot ETF saw over $250 million in inflows. If you didn't know, this is the one associated with BlackRock. Now, these guys just keep on buying no matter what at whatever price Bitcoin is at. Same thing with Michael Saylor, as discussed in yesterday's video, buying over 50,000 Bitcoins at around the 97K mark. That purchase for MicroStrategy is actually now in a loss of $165 million because of the market decline. I don't think Michael Saylor is stressing at all because his average entry price is around $54,000. So historically, he's been actually buying, yes, in the bear market bottoms, but he also bought the last top of the previous cycle around $69,000. He just keeps on buying, and for all the promotion that he gives to Bitcoin, he just backs it up with straight action. Something else that gave us a strong indication that Bitcoin would likely correct, aside from the 100K psychological level and aside from the long-term holders selling their Bitcoin, is of course the meme coin market. Now, if you've been following this channel, you know that the meme coin market has really been getting overheated lately, and this is usually a local top signal for Bitcoin and the rest of the market. Why? Because degens start piling in a bunch of money into projects that essentially have no utility and are essentially what we call shitcoins. Now, I've spoken about some of these in some of my previous videos, but usually when these kinds of coins are coming out at a fast rate, it does represent a local top indicator. And I don't seem to be the only one that thinks this way. CZ came out and he said he's not necessarily against memes, but the meme coins are getting a little weird now. Yesterday's video talked about the fact that, there were some pretty horrible coins coming out on Pump Fund, but I think I have to agree with CZ here. It's time to build real applications using blockchain. Let's get back to that, shall we? Now, some bullish news in the long term is that yet again, another established company recently announced a Bitcoin treasury strategy, and that company is Rumble, as we can see here on the screen. So their allocation will include purchases at the discretion of the company of up to $20 million worth of Bitcoin. Now, this might be seemingly insignificant compared to, for example, what the US government is going to do with the strategic Bitcoin reserve and also with what MicroStrategy is doing. But slowly and surely, we are starting to see companies trickle into creating a strategic Bitcoin reserve. This is ultimately bullish not just for Bitcoin, but for crypto as a whole because it provides more visibility to the industry. Companies, institutions, and countries are all starting to believe in the power of crypto, as we have believed in for the past several years. The floodgates are open. It wouldn't be another one of my videos if I didn't provide some kind of update on how altcoins are currently doing. And we can see that we are technically approaching the altcoin season, getting close to 50 on this scale. Now, we do need to be cautious here because there's been several times before where the altcoin season index has made it all the way into the high 40s only to correct even lower as Bitcoin dominance gave it another go and surged. The true altcoin season that we're looking for should occur once we can finally surpass 75 on the altcoin season index. And here we are with Bitcoin dominance. Again, these seem to be wicks that are grabbing the bottom of this wedge as support. I still firmly believe that Bitcoin dominance does have some gas left in the tank as we try to move from quantitative tightening to quantitative easing. If you're unfamiliar with Bitcoin dominance, this uptrend represents the fact that Bitcoin has technically been outperforming the rest of the market, whether Bitcoin goes up in price or down in price. I showed an altcoin chart in one of my previous videos that suggested that if Bitcoin were to come down, altcoins could potentially rally, but this is only during a Bitcoin dominance downtrend. Since we are still in an uptrend, whether we go up or down, Bitcoin dominance increases. I think we held support at the bottom of this range, and I expect us to consolidate in here before moving higher. Now, the scenario that we all want, of course, is breaking out of this range and creating that euphoric altcoin season, which I believe will come into 2025. And what will be one of the key indicators for this altcoin season? That would be when ETH Bitcoin finally has a sustained uptrend. And when will ETH Bitcoin finally have a sustained uptrend? Once we go from quantitative tightening to quantitative easing. To elaborate a little bit further, quantitative tightening is when the Fed is reducing their balance sheet, in other words, removing money from the economy, and quantitative easing is essentially when they start printing more money. This red line right here on the chart represents the Fed's balance sheet. And we can see here where I put this white line, as we transitioned into quantitative easing, so the government printing more money, we saw a sustained uptrend in ETH Bitcoin. And we went all the way from the 0.015 range all the way up to 0.09 almost. Now this cycle, I definitely don't think that ETH Bitcoin will go much lower than we currently are, but we can see that we made an attempt to pump above this yellow line and now we got rejected back down. Only time will tell, but this is the best indicator for our altcoin season. ETH Bitcoin performing well, and the Fed starts printing money to support that. For altcoins specifically as a whole, we can see that we went above this yellow line, representing a potential rejection before we revisit the bottom of this trend line around 0.25. I've been talking about this important level quite a bit in my videos because if we were to make it all the way to the bottom of this line, as we did in previous cycles, the good news is that it would likely provide more fuel to have an even crazier altcoin season into 2025 because we would have gone so low. If altcoins turn around against Bitcoin here and continue upwards and break past this resistance, then yes, we will have an altcoin season, but it might be a little bit tempered down. So what we really want is for altcoins to come a little bit lower against Bitcoin because the next altcoin season should be one of the most explosive altcoin seasons in history. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe to my channel and turn on that notification bell because I will soon be providing my top altcoin picks for 2025. You won't want to miss that video. Okay, so now it's time to answer the all-important question as to when Bitcoin will bottom before we move higher for the rest of the bull market. Before answering that, I have to remind you that in a bull market, dips are seen as opportunities to buy some more crypto. And that is exactly what I'm doing. If you're looking to buy crypto, I can't recommend a better exchange than Bybit. It is the safest and most reliable exchange in the industry and has a multitude of all the cryptocurrencies that you could ever want. If you sign up to Bybit with the first link in my description, you can earn $500 in free airdrop bonuses. Don't miss out. Okay, so we have this chart here that would suggest that Bitcoin could make its way to the next biggest support level around the $83,500 mark. Yes, that sounds like a huge dump, and we may not make it there, but you need to consider the fact that in bull markets, 20 to 30% dips are more than likely. We cannot just go up in a straight line, as I've been talking about in my previous videos. And so to me, if we were to retest in the 80Ks, it would not be a surprise whatsoever. Make sure that you're fully aware of this possibility. Guys, it really has been the same story that I've been talking about for Bitcoin. Bitcoin goes up, it drags the rest of the market with it. Bitcoin sneezes a little bit, and we are now seeing alts struggling. We will have the altcoin season that we're looking for, but monetary policy has to change for this to happen. Be patient, because I'm confident we have an exciting year ahead. If you enjoyed the content, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and also leave your comments down below. I'd love to hear what you thought of the video and what you'd like me to look at next. Till next time.